What do you really think about money? Is it something you work for? Is it earned or is it inherited? Is it the root cause of all evil? Are you desperate to have more of it? Have you been chasing it most of your life? Truth is, most of what you think about money has been influenced by your upbringing and environment. If you were born into a family that didn't have much money growing up, then you're more inclined to believe that you too will not grow up to have much money. Or perhaps you went on the complete opposite end and decided to make as much money as you can so that you will never be in that position again. The fact that your school didn't teach you much about this subject doesn't help things. And because of this, most of you are going to have false beliefs about money that aren't going to help you on this journey. Now stick with me here, because we're going to have to change the way you've been seeing money your whole life. Hollywood has always had a habit of depicting the wealthy and rich as evil, backstabbing, entitled, or corrupt individuals.
If you won't get me a squirrel, I'll get one myself.
Question is, have you bought into that stereotype? A recent report released by WealthX showed that of the world's ultra-wealthy, those that had a net worth of 30 million or more, 68% of them were self-made. And it seems like every other study backs up this conclusion. Warren Buffett? Self-made billionaire. Howard Schultz, born in poverty. Oprah Winfrey, born in poverty. Jeff Bezos, self-made billionaire. Elon Musk, self-made billionaire. Sarah Blakely, self-made billionaire. What is it that these people know that you don't? Truth is, your equation is all wrong. Here's the two-dimensional equation that you've been taught. Money equals salary earned from a job. Past a certain point, the prospect of getting a job becomes the sole purpose of your education. So what's wrong with that, you ask? I'm gonna assume that if you're watching this, you want to make money, a lot of it, and in as short amount of time as possible. If that is your goal, then this equation for generating money will never get you there. We all have one precious resource, the most important resource of all, and once it's gone, there's no way of getting it back. That resource is time. In a standard job, the amount of money you earn is dependent on the amount of time you put into that job. If you earned $20 an hour and worked 40 hours a week, it would take you nearly 24 years to reach a total of $1 million. But that is without subtracting any taxes or any expenses that you will incur over 24 years. And let's not forget that inflation would make your $1 million less valuable. The reality is that on a salary of $20 an hour, you can only really be a millionaire at an old age by living frugally. And most of that precious resource known as time has slipped through your fingers. You traded all that time for money, and it wasn't even a substantial amount either. So again, you ask yourself, how is it then that there are self-made millionaires and billionaires at such young ages? What makes them so different? And the truth is, they have a better equation than you. They have a way of understanding money that you haven't quite grasped yet.
Morpheus says it. Most people's minds are not ready to be freed. Most people are so dependent on the system that they'll fight to defend it. Their minds are not ready to be freed. I was walking to college with a couple of my friends, and a Ferrari drove past. And I said, bro, you see that? And he goes, yeah, what about it? I said, doesn't that piss you off? I must have been about 16. He goes, why? So this dude has 400 G's for a car, 400 grand. I'm walking 4 miles to college because my mom hasn't got any car. He has 400 grand. Do you think he works a job? Do you think he's fucking behind a counter somewhere? He knows something about the world that I don't know. And they were like, well, he's rich. I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't say he wasn't rich, dummy. I'm saying he knows something about the world I don't know. And I was intrigued, and it angered me. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was pissed off. Every time I saw somebody with genuine money, I understood that everything I was being told and taught and they were trying to make me believe just simply wasn't true. I was like, this is bullshit. None of these people are getting these things by following the path that the system is trying to make me follow. The average people come to me and say, what do I do? I'm just the average guy. And my only answer is stop being the average guy. It's my only answer. You can't just be the average guy anymore. The idea from the 1950s that you can just be the normal, average, law-abiding, hard-working citizen and you'll have a good life is gone. Any man out here who goes, I'm just gonna work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not. Just doing your job is never gonna make you rich, because you're just gonna be taxed into infinity and you're gonna stay broke. A lot of the things people are told about how to make money was accurate, but it's no longer accurate. I knew there had to be another way. I knew that just working for money was a paradigm that wasn't true. I'd say this another thing. I say to people who ask me, they go, Andrew, how do I get rich? And I say, okay, well, you're probably not gonna get rich because I bet you're lazy, but let's say you're not lazy. The number one habit that people need to adopt, and this is a habit I had for a very long time, and I've actually recently cleared it from my brain because I've reached a point where peace of mind is worth more than money. But every single time money is spent, you need to identify how your money was taken from you. And I say taken because money can't be made. Money is taken. Because the only people who can make money are the government. So if you're a government, you can make money. You can print it from thin air or a bank. But if you're a person, you're not making money. You're convincing other people to give it to you. You're taking money from others. So every single time you spend money on anything, you need to identify how it was taken from you. When you go and buy a coffee, don't just go buy the coffee and sit down. Sit and say, why did I buy this coffee? Okay, I really want coffee. Yeah. But then why did I go into this store and not that store? Is it better advertising? Does it have less of a line? Do they have seating? How did they convince me to come in here? How much did this coffee cost? £6. What's the profit margin on that? Probably £5.50, £5.80, probably by the time the cup probably costs more than the coffee. The coffee is just water. How did they convince me to spend £6 in this place? And when you sit there and analyze, and you all start to learn little lessons about business. You'll learn about the importance of the signage. You'll learn about the importance of there being no queue.
Yeah.
So that if you ever run a business, I'm telling you, I say with my business, my people all the time, faster. All the time, quicker.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple businesses that are physical. I'm like, I don't want to see a line. I don't want it to see empty because it looks bad. So when there's lines, you work fast. When we're down to 1 or 2 people, you take your time, you talk to the customer.
Right.
1% of the people in the general population have the overwhelming amount of money, and 1/10 of that 1% has almost all of that, right? So I think it's like the richest 100 people in the world have as much money as the bottom 2.5 billion. And you think, well, that's a terrible thing, and perhaps it is, but what you have to understand is that that law governs the distribution of creative production across all creative domains, right? It's something like a natural law, and we'll talk about that more, but imagine what happens when you play Monopoly. You've all played Monopoly. What happens when you play Monopoly? One person ends up with all the money, all right? Then you play another game of Monopoly. What happens? One person ends up with all the money. It's actually the inevitable consequence of multiple trades that are conducted randomly. So if you take 1,000 people and you get them to play a trading game, you each give them $100, say, or $10, and they have to trade with another person by flipping a coin. I win the coin toss, you give me $1, you win, I give you $1. If we all play that long enough, one person will end up with all the money and everyone else will end up with zero. So it's a deeply built feature of systems of creative production, and no one really knows what to do about it, because of course the danger is that all the resources get funneled to a tiny minority of people at the top, and a huge section of the population stacks up at zero. But to blame that on the oppressive nature of a given system is to radically underestimate the complexity of the problem. No one actually knows how to effectively shovel resources from the minority that controls almost everything to the majority that has almost nothing in any consistent way, because as you shovel money down, it tends to move right back up, and it's a big problem.